Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to register and pack for a homebrew competition today. I'm about to send off my national homebrew competition submissions. So I've got to go to FedEx today. So because of recent experiences that I've had with shipping homebrew, I thought it might be good to give a primer on how to properly pack things because I definitely got a little lazy and kind of give you guys an idea of what it takes to put your stuff into a homebrew comp. I love entering homebrew competitions. You get a lot of great feedback. Basically, how they work is you send in your beers, and then there's a couple people. One is always a certified beer judge, and then one can be an apprentice or someone working on getting their certification and just trying to learn the judging process. And they basically try a bunch of different beers in the same category and give you points off a 50-point scale. If you've seen some of my attempts at studying the beer for the beer judge certification, you'll recognize this sheet. This is what the judges use to basically determine the score your beer will get. And then just out of the beers that they try, they pick usually first, second, and third. Sometimes things don't qualify for medals, so there might only be a first or a first and second or only a third. It's kind of up to the discretion of the judges. Typically, if there are substantial off flavors, it'll disqualify you from a medal. So you might get an okay score, but because there's an off flavor, they don't think that it's viable for a medal. So pay attention to your oxygen, pay attention to, sanitary practices, everything, and you should be viable. And the first thing you got to make sure though is that you decide to put your beer in the correct category. So BJCP has a list of all their categories, and you basically just best match what beer you're submitting to. Sometimes it's really easy, sometimes it's a little more vague in what you can submit it to. And then you got to get it there in one piece. So I had some bottles break, and then FedEx just sent them back to me, which was very disappointing, but I'm going to try to show you guys how to get them there at the very least. Okay, so here we are at bjcp.org. So this is the Beer Judge Certification Program website. This is where I find all my competitions to enter. So to find them, you just go to the right-hand bar, Competition Center, Scheduled Competitions. And then you get a list. So what I always look for is a deadline that I can meet. So if you're shipping, I always try to at least be a week before the entry deadline when I'm trying to ship out. So, you can just find them based on where you live. I don't know if there's a search bar. I've never really found one. I just kind of scroll through. Okay, so let's find one in the future that we can send to. All right, let's do the Belgian Brew Challenge. Okay, so this is what a homebrew. Oh, this is a LA Ale Works. I'm totally gonna enter this one. This is where you see where it's judged. So if you can assist or steward or judge yourself, you can go there. If you want to sign up, these are all the rules. So this will tell you how many bottles you need to send in, what kind of bottles are permitted, if cans are permitted. I enter a lot of female only competitions, so that it'll tell you that here. It'll tell you what categories are available. This is a Belgian competition, so that it only allows the Belgian styles. It'll tell you which ones you need to list special ingredients for. A lot of the ones I use are fruit beers, so you have to enter what fruit is. And it'll tell you the entry fees. Usually they're around $8 to $10. So the side part is where you need to really pay attention. So it'll tell you how long registration's open. So that's how long you can actually be on here and like register your beers and pay for your entries and stuff. And then the drop-off dates and the shipping dates are what you need to pay attention. So if you're local, you can drop off until this date, whatever, and they usually don't let you send in your beers too early, and shipping is usually the same as drop-off. So yeah. So to enter, you're going to want to go to register, and you can enter as a judge or steward even if you're not if you're not entering beer. But we're going to enter beer today, so we're going to click entrance, email address. You guys all know my email address, so this does not concern me. Just don't send me spam. So you can choose where you're gonna drop off your beer. I'm gonna drop off at Eagle Rock, but if you're shipping, you should hit shipping entries, and then you pick your club if you're a part of club. And then you obviously enter your member number, and then you're registered. Okay, so what you need to do then is add an entry. So my entry, I'm gonna enter my Rosemary's Cherry because it is a Saison, and Saisons are a Belgian style. So Belgian specialty is what I need to enter because my beer has fruit, so it's a Saison with fruit in it. So the required info. So what we are going to have to do, it'll give you a guide. So it needs a specific type, special ingredients, classic style, and strength. So we're going to do a Saison with tart cherry juice. We're going to call it a strong Saison because it is around 7% alcohol. So then you're going to see your entry here. And you need to print your labels. This is what you're going to attach to your bottle. And you also need to pay for your entries before you submit them. So that's always the part that I can never find. Okay, so to pay for your entries, you just click where it says how much you owe. You go here, pay with PayPal, easy peasy. And then you print your labels, and now we're gonna go pack them. I have a bit of confession to make. When it comes to shipping beer to homebrew competitions, I can be a little cheap and a little lazy, and it finally bit me in my ass. So what you see here is my submissions to Homebrew that got sent back to me thanks to FedEx. Apparently one of them broke in shipping, so they sent them all back to me. This was a blessing in disguise because turns out I didn't have enough of the beers that I submitted to the National Homebrew Comp actually stashed away. They kind of all went to Homebrew. So, I mean, I'm not happy about it, but I'm also happy that I will end up getting to submit most of these beers to the National Homebrew Competition. So today I'm going to show you how to do it right. I'm basically going to show you the opposite of what I did for Homebrew, and that was actually the first time I've ever had anything break in transit, so it's not ideal. So basically I'm just going to kind of show you how to pack and submit to a homebrew competition, and I'll even show you guys how to find them and how to basically add your entry, set up, everything. I'm gonna have to find a random competition enter, I guess. Okay, so I guess I gotta unpack this guy. That one's not going. That one is going. So I have to change out all the labels, obviously. So this, if you can see it, if it'll focus on it, is a homebrew competition printout that you basically rubber band onto a bottle like that. Very easy, very simple. Some competitions will ask you to throw them in plastic bags in case what happened to me happens to you. I usually don't do it because like this one was damaged with the liquid and it's still fine. So yeah, I'm just gonna unpack all these, cut out my new stuff and repack them, I guess. Fancier options. These egg carton looking things that actually fit a bottle perfectly. So you can get these from, I believe it's called Crafty Shipper. I'll link to their website in the comments. Super nice guy. He's actually just sent me some of these to test out and they work great. It makes packing a lot faster. It does bulk up your shipment typically, but I mean, you could probably drop this thing off of a 2-story building and your beer would be fine. So it just depends on how cautious you're being. But yeah, great guy. He's in my homebrew club. We're gonna pack everything into a trash bag just in case it does leak. It'll at least get there. And then the stewards are really nice people and they just volunteer their time to help out and they'll do their best usually to make sure your beer does get judged. So depending on how many beers you're submitting, will obviously determine the size of box you're using. I really like using these flat rate USPS boxes just because they're free. You can just go grab them at a post office. The only thing is you can't ship your beers via USPS. It is illegal, so don't do it. Especially to homebrew comp because you don't want to get anyone in trouble. I usually use FedEx just because I'm in count, but you can also use UPS to ship homebrew and like you're not going to get arrested at least. They might ship it back if they find out it's booze, but you're not going to get arrested. I'm going to pack my beers, this one, into this box just because it's going to be easier to show you guys. So I'm a little bit of a hoarder. I save these little pillow packs from Amazon purchases and whatever, and I just use them to line the bottom and the top and sometimes the sides of my boxes just to, give them a little extra cushion. We're also going to wrap each bottle individually with bubble wrap. I like the small perforated kind because it fits a bottle perfectly. So basically you're just cutting these out, rubber banding them onto this. Do not tape them onto your bottles, only use rubber bands on the bottles. All I'm gonna use to hold the bubble wrap onto my bottle is actually a little bit of Scotch tape, so it'll slide right off when the stewards are trying to get to it. So, very easy. Done. I try to make sure there's enough on the bottom to cover the bottom and then enough on the top to kind of cushion the top. And granted, I'm sure that some of you guys think this is like obvious, but I do have people ask me how to do this. So this is for all you people who aren't working in the shipping department of your job like I am and haven't dealt with shipping fragile things all over the world like I do on a regular basis. So, if you are shipping beers that are bottle conditioned, I strongly recommend that you try to make sure they ship upright so that they don't, get flipped around and then you have like all your yeast sediment in there, especially if it's like an IPA or something and you want it to be relatively clear. So even if I have like one of these side boxes, I will just close this up and just mark up arrows and cut the top out and make that the opening. Fortunately, I bottle off of my kegs, so that's not a problem for me. But I used to, so I know that they can get a little messed up in there. So I'm gonna pack 4 beers into this box. We'll just pick random ones. Make sure all your beers have labels on them. This is obviously just an example. And when I'm packing in these, if you are doing laydown, I like to pack them butt to head, I guess. Then I just take my leftover Amazon stuff, shove it in there. I make sure there's an extra layer on top. Just don't overpack your boxes. Just go get a bigger box. Honestly, it's not going to be worth the hassle. And I always forget to actually line my box with my garbage bag, so we're going to undo all of this. I've recorded this video twice now and I forgot to do this both times. This is almost overpacked, but because it's only the cushion that's overpacking it and the air in there, I'm cool with it. And then you just ship with UPS or FedEx and hopefully it gets there. I hope you guys found this helpful. I know when I started entering homebrew competitions, there's a lot of things I didn't fully understand about how it worked. And I just kind of ended up on Reddit message boards, but that's where I end up for everything anyway. So I hope this was kind of comprehensive and gave you an idea. I mean, it's kind of nerve-wracking when you start entering, but you realize that like the people who judge and everything, they're nice and they want to be helpful. And a lot of times you can figure out how to make your beers better by doing this. I found out that beers have off flavors that I've never tasted when I've sent them in, and you know, it's a great learning experience, especially if you're not part of a homebrew club where you can kind of take things in and get advice on them, especially because you can ship a lot of these things. Also, this does not apply if you're entering local homebrew competitions. Usually you can just drop those off in a 6-pack case over at your local homebrew store. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.